especially since we're publishing a lot of academic articles, it caters to other academics. We're actually not effectively framing for the people we might want to direct our work towards. I see effective framing outside of formal academic writing. Anytime I see like a cool infographic or something like that, that feels effective to me because it seems like more people will see it, things that aren't behind paywalls, stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
less effective sort of framing to me feels like when we're over jargony, when we are not being accessible to the reader.
We wrote an equity paper together
Yeah.
and we got reviews that were, well, to be fair, we got some good reviews, but there were instances where I felt like we were being tone policed, where they
Yeah.
wanted us to walk back the words of like racial marginalization. They wanted
Mm-hmm.
us to walk that phrasing back and just be like, it's just different. And it felt very like if you want to be published here, you need to tone the justice talk down.
Yeah. Yeah.
That puts equity researchers in a weird position because here we are encountering a power dynamic that is biased when we think about who is reviewing our work. And so, what does success look like for something like one of our papers?
So I think the general idea of success and the thing that I've been told is success with things like this is obviously how many times are you being cited? How many people know about this thing? How many people are retweeting your tweet about it? Those kinds of things. And how much engagement are you getting? But it's usually from the rest of the research community. And I'm sitting over here like, that's cool and all, but I would love for another educator to read this and then say, this helped me do this in my class, and now my students are like this. That's what I would like to see, and that's how I would measure my success if I write something that is actually practical and helpful to another person rather than just building up my repertoire of papers. So if we're going by just the regular measures of success, then it would be like clicks. Then, yeah, you want to use the framing that the editors may tell you to do or the framing that is generally accepted. But my values don't necessarily align with that. So, of course, my framing would be different. I'm thinking of a different audience.
Makes a lot of sense. We're science education researchers, and we're publishing in academic journals where the primary metric for success is how often it's cited by other researchers. So then, are we writing the paper for other researchers to cite?
Yeah.
Or, and I think this is more the intention of our paper, we were writing that paper so that science educators would look at it and go, okay, here is some data that I can use to inform how I structure my chemistry course. That would be the goal. But then there's so many things about that medium of using academic journals that limits our impact in that space. Some of those things include paywalls. I mean, how long was our paper? If it took more than 5 minutes to read, I don't really know a whole lot of science educators that have the time and the energy to unpack all of the statistics and the other things. Ultimately, it feels like we're just talking in a little echo chamber when what we're writing and where we're writing and who we're impacting isn't aligned. It makes sense that framing becomes a really important idea. So, my next question for you is how would you reframe that message if you were trying to present it to researchers versus trying to present it to educators, regardless of the medium?
So, presenting it to researchers, I would want it to direct it to people who are curriculum developers and are using the research to actually create different interventions. The paper they wrote would be useful for someone to cite if they're writing a grant. We need evidence that we do need to change the way we assess. We need some money to use a research informed approach to rewrite some assessments. So I would want to cater a paper to researchers who are doing that because then I think we could actually reach the audiences we want. If we're talking directly to educators, um, I would frame it in a calling in sense because I know for educators, it's really hard to change the things that we do in the classroom, pressure from other people. The amount of time you have to prep is not enough. And calling in of like, here are some things we could do that are actually accessible with the very limited amount of time we have to do those things.